Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. Hi, please help me out because I am feeling extremely guilty, even though at that time I thought I was in the right. So I, F27, have been married to my husband, M34, for the past 2 years. My relationship with my mother-in-law has been okay, but we are not extremely close as we have different opinions on some matters. Like last year, during a controversial law implementation in Texas, we were having a discussion at a family event. She told me how if I ever thought about giving up on a baby, she would make my husband divorce me. But she laughed after saying that and said she was kidding. She had made similar kinds of jokes regarding me having a girl child first as well. Well, fast forward to last night. She had come for a visit and brought food with her. She had made my husband's favorite dish and one other dish. She said she had brought the favorite dish only for my husband, and the other dish was for me. Well, we started eating, and I tasted something bitter in my food. It wasn't that much, so I just kept on swallowing it with water because I was afraid that if I complained, my mother-in-law would get angry. As I dug deeper with my fork deeper into the food, I saw something like black powder. It looked like the food was stuffed with it. I inquired about the same, so she told me it was a new spice that she got from a friend. I took a mouthful of that stuff and couldn't swallow it at all. I rushed to the bathroom and threw it all up. I got violently sick, and my whole mouth became bitter. When I came out, my husband gave me some water. Suddenly, my mother-in-law got very angry at me and said I was intentionally doing this whole act of throwing up to show she is a bad cook. My husband tried to calm her down, but she left our home, but took the food she brought with her, while leaving, saying we don't deserve it. She even emptied the plate I was eating from in a container and took it as well. While my husband is on my side, others from his family have been very angry at us as well and asked me to apologize. Am I the a-hole here? As some of the comments are curious, I will ask the name of the spice. I will call my sister-in-law tomorrow. Although I don't think she was trying to intentionally poison me. I am now really scared after reading the comments that said that's what she did. I'll update you guys soon. So my sister-in-law just called me and got the whole story out of my father-in-law. My mother-in-law got the spice from her friend, like she said. It was called kanji? Something like that. I'll Google it later, but just wanted to update you all first. She was cooking that dish for their lunch and didn't know how much she was supposed to add and accidentally put too much. She tasted it and couldn't eat it. Instead of acting like a sane person and throwing it, she thought that as she was going to visit us anyways, why not give it to me instead? Her reason was that I am a horrible cook, so I already have a habit of eating bad food. She intentionally made a small portion of my husband's food, so I will not take it. I am so angry at her now and have told my husband she is not allowed in our house anymore. He still thinks he would like to discuss it with her. I am just done with her bullshit. Thank you all for your concern, and while I am glad she was not poisoning me, I am still shocked by her insensitivity. I went to the doctor first thing in the morning, and I am completely fine. My husband wants to go low contact, but says he can't go no contact fully, and I understand. Some of you asked if we were trying to get pregnant. I honestly am not in the phase where I want kids, but maybe in the future. Not the a-hole. Wow, did that turn seriously south on a pinhead? At first, as I was reading, I was thinking the post was going to be about not talking politics with the in-laws. Your evil mother-in-law obviously poisoned you. It's a neon sign that she took your plated remains away, rather than throwing them in the trash. She didn't want evidence of her serious crime. If you have any remains, even a dirty plate, I would report her. She's dangerous. Where in this story would you be apologizing? Is your husband having your back? Is he outraged? Or is he going to be lame and stay out of it? Indian here. There's a possibility that that spice was kalonji or nigella seeds. They have a faint bitter taste and are usually used for tempering. Definitely not used as a major spice as far as I know. One thing for sure, if it was kalonji, it is not poisonous and it's extremely healthy too. Although it's extremely suspicious that your mother-in-law did not tell you what exactly the spice was and also took everything away without giving you a chance to check it. Not the a-hole for sure.
Here's the next story.
My 16F parents divorced a few years ago. My dad, 40M, remarried my stepmom, Laura, 45F, while my mom, 36F, remarried my stepdad, Gabe, 40M. I have 4 stepbrothers, 25M from Laura, and 20M, 18F, and 16F. I have a half-sibling, 6M, from my mother. I love both of my step-parents, but I honestly spend more time with my dad and Laura. They're pretty chill and laid back in lots of things. They're strict regarding my education, just as my mom and Gabe are, but they're more open regarding my freedom. Getting Ubers alone, letting me meet my friend without a chaperone, letting me dye my hair and cut it how I want it, my clothes, how I do my makeup, my interests, etc. Basically, they let me be my own person, while my mom and Gabe, not so much. It's mostly my mom, though. She's paranoid about bad things happening to me, and I get it, but I feel caged. I can't do lots of things when I'm at their house. I can't have my door closed. I can't use makeup. I can't use earphones. I can't have weird hair. I can't take my laptop, so I have to use the computer they sent me there, and they have control of it. I have to attend certain activities whether I like it or not. If I go out with friends to the mall or something, my mom is a few tables behind, watching me, and it's draining. The last straw was a week ago, when I talked to my dad and Laura about wanting to get a job, because I want to be able to buy my own stuff. And just, I don't know, have some cash without having to ask for it. They agreed under some conditions, but told me that I had to talk to mom first. Gabe is pretty well off, and my mom and him don't treat me different regarding the money. But as you can imagine, I have restrictions, things always under a certain price, always sharing with my stepsisters, appropriate to my age, and my mom decides what is appropriate and what is not, yada yada yada. So when I told them, they obviously told me no, and my mom was like, "But why do you need to work? We can give you anything. Is there something you want? Do you want money?" And I had it. I told her that I was tired of them always controlling me and restricting me, and that I really wanted to do that. And if they don't let me and back up, I'll stop coming home since I can decide with which parent I want to live now. Obviously, hell broke loose, and I was sent to my room after being called a selfish brat. My mom stopped talking to me, and Gabe told me to give her some time, but I told them that I was serious and that if they don't let me have a job by the end of the month, I'm out. Not the a-hole. Calling you a brat for wanting to earn your own money is ridiculous. It's great that you're willing to understand why she may have these rules and understand she wants to look after you. But it must be draining, and if they are unable to understand that you're not a little kid anymore, then maybe some space is what's best. Not the a-hole. You're at the perfect age to start working. Just make sure you have your father set up a child's checking account through his bank. I can see this going so wrong if your mom had access. Your mom isn't ready to let go yet, and is refusing to see you as the young adult you are. Depending on where you live, you have the choice of which parent you want to primarily live with, usually at 16 years old. If you have your own room at your dad's and like the autonomy he gives you, well, not really freedom, but you have a certain level of autonomy over your life and looks based on what you described, then I suggest staying there regardless if your mom gives in or not. She has to get used to it now because once you can support yourself, you can pretty much take full control of your life, and she will need to respect that.
Here's the next story.
I'm American, grew up in Oregon, and that is where most of my family is. My roommate is from South Africa. I've known her for about 8 years now. We live in California. We moved into this house on July 1st, 2021. It was a house that we found together. Prior to this, I was living happily alone with my dog. I moved in with her because she was having difficulty finding and affording a place on her own. Our house has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. My roommate has a baby born in August. She keeps the baby's crib in her room, but uses the 3rd room for some baby things. We decided when we moved in that we would keep the 3rd room open as a guest room. 3 weeks ago, she told me on a Wednesday night her mom is coming to visit from South Africa and will arrive on Saturday. When I asked how long she was staying, she first said she would be here 3 weeks, but might extend her trip a little. When I told her my brother was supposed to be here for a visit at the end of March, 7 weeks away at that time, she answered that her mom will still be here then. I ask again how long her mom is staying, and she flips out on me. Gives me a whole lot of reasons why she needs her mom here, calls me selfish for even asking, but never answers the question of how long she is staying. Now that my roommate's mom has been here for a few weeks, it is very clear that they plan for the visit to last 4 to 6 months. For example, I overheard them talking about many things they will be doing this summer. Another example is, the mom told me how she brought 4 half-month supplies of her prescription medicine, and will have to figure out how to refill it here after it runs out. These are just a few examples. There have been many things. I was okay with a 3 to 4 week visit only because her mom was coming from far away out of the country. I am not okay with a 4 to 6 month visit. I never wanted to live with 3 adults in the house. In fact, it was something we discussed before moving in when we decided to keep the 3rd bedroom as a guest room. After giving it some thought, I decided to tell my roommate that while she has another adult living here full time, taking up the 3rd bedroom, it's not fair for me to be paying half of the rent and utilities. I proposed that we split things 3 ways while she is here for the next several months. They both flipped out at this suggestion, saying that wasn't the agreement when we moved in together. They called me all kinds of names, basically saying that I'm a horrible person. When I brought up how now I can't have any visitors or have my family visit, they both said that because my family is just from Oregon, I was able to see them at Christmas, that I basically don't need or deserve to have my family visit. That's because her mom came from far away, and they hadn't seen each other in 3 years because of COVID, that they deserve to spend time together more than I deserve to see my family. Basically, I can see them another time. Not the a-hole. Your roommate should have been paying extra from the jump, as she has an extra room. She crossed boundaries by inviting someone to live with her for a year without giving you the full details and time to prepare. No one deserves anything in this life. Just because she couldn't see her family doesn't mean she can make all the executive decisions of the household and belittle you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, obviously, but who owns the house? Both of you? It sounds like if your roommate was having a hard time finding a place on her own, then maybe your name is the one on the mortgage. If that's the case, you gotta put your foot down. An undiscussed announcement of a 3 to 4 week guest that cuts into your personal family time is bad enough. 4 to 6 months is bullshit. Especially when you consider the fact that these things were discussed before moving in together. Not the a-hole. This is very reasonable of you, and it sounds like you would have reason to argue that she is violating the terms of your lease by adding another tenant who is not on the lease. You are subsidizing a shared 3rd room under the current engagement, and you would be paying for half of her mom's rent if her mom stays there long term without paying. That's unreasonable.
Here's the next story.
Okay, so I, F14, have a sister, F16, who I'll call S. She constantly steals from me and messes up my things. I tried talking to my parents about it, but they shrug it off and say that sisters do things like that. It's gotten so bad that I have to hide or move valuable items out of the house in fear that she'll break them or steal them. 3 weeks ago, I received money from my aunt and friend for my birthday. I was excited because I wanted AirPods for a while now, and I finally had enough money to get them. I kept the money in a box and put it in my drawer. About a week ago, I wanted to go to the gas station, so I went to get the money. But when I checked, it wasn't there. I went and asked my mom if she'd seen it, to which she replied yes. She told me that my sister went snooping in my room and wanted the money, and my mom didn't have the heart to say no. So she let her take it. I went to my sister's room and demanded she give me my money back. She told me that she had already spent it and that I should have hidden it better if I didn't want it stolen. I was livid. I stormed to my room and stayed there for the rest of 2 days ago, while out shopping with my aunt, she asked if I had gotten the AirPods that I had been wanting. I told her no, and that my mom allowed S to take the money I was going to use to buy it. My aunt was furious and called my mom, confronting her about it. My aunt berated my mom and said I could stay the night with her. When I got home to pack my things, Mom was furious and threw money at me asking if I was happy now, that I made S feel bad. I ignored her, grabbed my things, and left. While at my aunt's place, I received many nasty texts from my family members saying I was in the wrong. My dad told me that he didn't agree with what my mom and S did, but I didn't have to expose them to my aunt. I've been feeling extremely guilty, and I've been wondering if I was in the wrong. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister is a thief, and both of your parents are enablers. I'm glad you have an adult who is treating you well. Not the a-hole. Your mom and sister just came in tied for first for a-hole of the day. Your sister knew you got birthday money, searched for it, and your mom allowed her to just take it? Also, your dad needs to do some serious reflection. You had every right to tell your awesome aunt the truth and should be rewarded for your honesty. If I were your aunt, I would buy your AirPods and tell Ash she can consider the theft her next birthday and Christmas presents.
Here's the next story.
I have a stepdaughter, Ava, 26, and 2 biological daughters, Claire, 16, and Emily, 14. I really did my best to bond with Ava, but she just wasn't into it. We did family therapy, individual therapy, but Ava was never okay with the idea of having step-parents. Her mom was also remarried. She was a good kid, but just kept to herself. Ava is getting married soon, and mother-in-law is freaking out because Ava doesn't want a lot of posed pictures. Ava really just wants pictures with the groom and to skip the family pictures. I didn't hear this conversation, but apparently Ava told mother-in-law that she would take pictures with her and father-in-law, but she had been dreading the big family pictures because she hates pretending she has 2 families when really she just didn't have one. My husband gently confronted Ava when mother-in-law told him what she said, and Ava said he didn't do anything wrong, but she just hates pretending we are a real family. That was hard on him, and he has been beating himself up over it. Mother-in-law won't let go of it and has been crying about how she didn't know how bad it was for Ava, and she should have saved her. Mother-in-law recently burst into tears very dramatically in front of my husband, Claire, and Emily, and said she should have called CPS on us and gotten custody of Ava. We demanded to know what CPS was worth, and she said she could have made something up, but if Ava was so unhappy, she should have been removed. I asked her if she would really lie to CPS, and she said yes, and that Ava probably would have been a good actress and could have convinced them. I was freaked out by this conversation and decided if she really thinks that is okay. I don't want her around Claire and Emily. My husband is torn. The kids don't care either way, but mother-in-law says I'm dramatic and insane. And Ava told her dad that I can do whatever I want. But if mother-in-law can't be around them, the four of us can be the ones to not come to the wedding. I actually didn't mind her being around them at the wedding, and meant more. She is banned from our house, and we won't be going to any family events. My husband is now upset and feels I overreacted. Not the a-hole for protecting your kids. That is what you are doing. You're protecting you and your children from someone who just admitted that they are willing to lie in order for legal action to be taken. I worry for Ava and her future spouse, and any children they may or may not have. Either Ava is close with someone like this and is thus learning that this behavior is okay, or that at some point, if she crosses your mother-in-law, she'd be on the other end of a lie. Mother-in-law shouldn't be allowed